everybody. It is Amber Kivett here with Lifepro. Super excited to be joining you all today. Today is a series that I started this week. It is Aging Younger as the Years Roll Forward Using Vibration. I was at a convention, or they called a congress, a couple weeks ago in New Orleans, and they talked about it was the world's top scientists and doctors in connective tissue, fascia, restoration, and how we can age or hack into that system to get the greatest quality of life and work on our, overall longevity of life, lower mortality rates. Like, what are we learning now in the science that we can control that gives us the opportunity to feel better as our joints break down, as we gain weight, as we get older, hormones stop producing, all these little things that go into what makes our body feel not so good. And so I'm doing this special series for the month of August. It is Aging Younger Using Vibration. And they released some studies for the first time stating that whole body vibration actually is a stimulant for getting our fascia to reset, restructure, and kind of cleanse itself. But it also helps in releasing emotion, any kind of challenges that we're holding on to, trauma. Vibration is a stimulant and is a reliever in order for our hormones, our inflammatory hormones, to reduce and our happy healing hormones to increase. You can't be doing both at the same time. So the series that I'm sharing with you is all about less is better, because what the studies are showing is that the more that we exercise in one session, if we're exercising more than 30 minutes in one setting, and if our heart rate goes up over that 75% max heart rate threshold, then the inflammatory hormones in our body that keep us able to go, keep providing the oxygen to the muscles, keep allowing us to burn energy for fuel, not necessarily fat, but energy as it is stored for fuel. While at the same time, the higher that our heart rate goes for the longer time, over 20 minutes, the more the inflammation increases in the body, which cancels out the positive effects that we're actually aiming or achieving on the other side. So what the studies are showing now is that less is better, and frequent lower level sessions, or I should say shorter sessions, is what is ideal for getting the desirable outcomes of weight loss, improved lymphatic system regulation, increased immunity, decrease in stress hormones, increase in happy, feeling like mentally clear, less stress, less anxiety. There's all these wonderful things that are happening on the other side by doing shorter workouts and doing a couple of them a day. So by me saying shorter, we're not doing 30 minutes nonstop of steady state or high-low cardio, or getting that heart rate way up and then letting it drop. We're actually doing like 10-minute to 15-minute increments of exercise using vibration. So we're using the vibration as a stimulus. So that's one technology, and actually changing the energy systems and the type of fuel that we are using. That's strategy number 2. And doing it together, improving resistance training, strategy number 3, and combining them all for the ultimate biohacking experience so that you can get younger looking as the years roll forward instead of looking older as we age forward. Is it possible for everybody? Absolutely, because how we feel physically and how we feel about ourselves inside is what becomes expressing on the outside. Our body actually holds on to stress in the form of tension, which then changes the dynamics on the body and how it fixes itself. And so if we're really stressed out, it's really hard for our body to fix itself. You're going to hear about a lot of different buzzwords if you haven't already heard about them. We've got anxiety is a big buzzword right now, that everybody's got anxiety. Anxiety is just the fear of the future, fear of the unknown. And it's okay if you have it. I've got it. We all have it on some level, right? But you're hearing a lot about collagen protein. Why? Because this connective tissue called fascia is made up of collagen. So this web that holds us together and allows us to move the way that we move, that allows us to rebuild and reshape, like we're constantly reshaping and remolding. This fabric in our body, we're going to call it, this web, is made up of collagen, elastin, hyaluronin, and water, okay, which is what makes up what they call the ground substance. Like our body is like floating. We're like floating people with bones, and we're absorbing energy through the ground or whatever it is that we're sitting in contact with. And we're transferring that through this web, and there's no starter into it. There's no empty spaces. It's really fascinating how it works, but it holds on to emotion. So if you have anxiety, if you have depression, if you've gone through trauma, it settles in this system, has its own electrical system, and it generates pain 10 times greater than that the nerve generates pain. So if you're feeling pain in your joints, feeling pain in your back, feeling pain in your hips, feeling pain on the surface of the skin, neuropathy, this generates pain 10 times greater than that of the nerve and how the brain communicates through the nervous system. So it is a system that governs kind of everything. But we don't talk about it much in the United States, and there's a bunch of political reasons why, which I'm not going to go into that today. But collagen, as we get older, as we become more stressed and we wear our bodies out, we lose collagen in this system. So our skin starts to droop, sag, wrinkle, not nearly as good. It becomes more thin, paper thin. So the older we get, the more our skin changes. And then in addition to that, you're hearing a lot about some different things. Stem cells you're hearing about all these different procedures that you can do for reducing strain on the body or stress on the body. But collagen is the big one. And, fascia, you don't hear about a whole lot, fascia, but the hard to ignore it now because it kind of governs the whole body. But exercise helps it and generates it to regenerate itself. So it regenerates collagen. It transfers information. It allows us to feel really good. And vibration is an excitatory stimulus to this. So this is how they keep weight on astronauts in space, because when this tissue does not get excited, it starts to shrink and disintegrate. And that's what holds us together, including your organs and including the brain. So we kind of fall apart in time. And the more that we sit, the more this becomes problematic. So today, I am featuring our newest vibration platform, which is it's the new Vibra Voice. Okay, so this is our user manual. I'm not going to go into all the features of this because I did that yesterday. So go back to episode 1 on aging younger through vibration. And I'm going to try not to use too much of the voice commands, but it is voice command controlled. So you have a remote, you have the voice activation, and then you have the control panel here. So 3 different ways that you can control this. I just want to get you guys up and get you guys moving. And because, the more that you are in motion in a variety of different positions, the better you're going to feel, the better that happier tissue gets. And the more happy hormones your brain releases, which means that you're just living life happier and feeling really good. Emotion directly changes how you physically feel. So got to make sure we're keeping our mind in check. But this is a very different kind of vibration than what we have released in the past. This is a vertical vibration, so it goes up and down instead of teeter-totter, pulsation, tickling, lateral shift. It goes up and down. So it feels totally different than what all of our other type of vibration plates feel like. So today, I'm just going to kind of ease you into all that it takes because, again, less is better. So we're going to do 3 10-minute segments, and some of those are going to be lower, some of those are going to be upper, some of those are just going to be meditation relaxation. You can do all 3 of these together for a 30-minute series because we are not going to elevate the heart rate up over that 75% max threshold. I talked to one of our customers over the weekend over the phone for about 30 minutes. Just happened to have some time on the road to drive and talk with her. She is located in another country. And she brought to my attention information that she'd received from another personal training coach that was not up to date. And so I just want to share with you, there are 3 common denominators that are kind of showing in clinical research as how we are aging and our mortality rate. That is our cardiovascular health, our respiratory health, how we're breathing and how we're incorporating, of course, our diaphragm and our pelvic floor and core as a whole, and lower leg strength. So if you are not staying strong in your legs, if you're not staying strong in your heart, and you're not keeping really healthy lungs, you have a much higher chance of dying earlier in your life than later in your life. So if you are older than 40 and you are not doing resistance training because you're wanting to run a marathon or you're wanting to do a triathlon or you love some of the different workout programs or facilities that are pushing high-low workouts, All the power to you if that's what makes you happy, but it is increasing stress hormones in your body, which makes your body not being able to heal itself. And that's what triggers autoimmune disease. So you're not too far away from having to fight for your life instead of enjoying the workouts. So don't worry about getting your heart rate up over that 75%. We know now in studies that as long as you're getting your heart rate elevated and you're keeping that muscle conditioned, that's what we're aiming for. If you're still able to breathe and talk to me out loud as if I'm in the room, or you're able to talk to yourself or sing a song or whatever it is if you're with friends, you want to be able to clearly speak in a sentence without having to huff and puff and catch your breath. If you're older than 40 and you're doing that for more than 20 minutes, you're creating more inflammation. So I want to be really clear about that because I have learned the hard way. I don't exercise hard anymore at all. And I'm actually leaner now than I've ever been. I'm healthier now than I've ever been. And honestly, happier now than I've ever been. So we're back, like sharing with each other. But I had an addiction to exercise for a long time where I was doing, anywhere from 6 to 10 hours of cardiovascular exercise a week because it was all about calories out. Got to go calories out because I'm going to eat that pizza and I'm going to drink the beer and I'm going to go hang out with my kid and eat a McDonald's. And you can't do that. Okay. It actually causes more problems. We do know that in the research. It hasn't been released a lot lately, but I was firsthand witnessing that 2 weeks ago, and the studies are out there. You just have to know how to find them. So remember, you want to get the heart rate up enough that you're having to get control of your breathing and that your breathing is a little more challenged. You're feeling some burning sensations in the muscles because you're fatiguing, which our body has to have that resistance in order to continue to adapt and adjust and redevelop, get stronger, right? Making us more resilient. But you can do too much. And if you're doing too much to the point that you can't speak sentences or it takes you a long time to catch your breath or for your heart rate to come back down, heart rate variability, HRV, is a direct measure as to how healthy your body is as a whole and how much inflammation is in your body as a whole. We do know that for sure in the studies as well. So you can wear a ring at night in order to measure your heart rate and how you're sleeping at night if you're sleeping. You can wear a tracking device, a chest monitor, heart rate monitor, or use the different wearables, the Apple Watch and other watches. I'm not putting names on anything, but if you have technology that measures your biometrics, your specific heart rate, respiration rate, or you use the ring in order to keep track of all of that, then you have more control over how much inflammation and how much disease you're dealing with in your system. Disease is just simply tissue that is not at ease. It is tissue that is tense. So when we are looking at this web, when our tissue becomes very sick and is holding on to stuff because of a lot of extra tension, we create these little webs that provide tightness so that our body can keep itself together, but that tightness keeps us from being able to move. The vibration naturally kind of breaks apart those bonds that we really don't want, that our body just overdoes. Our body can do too much of a good thing sometimes, and it does not help us. But it kind of shakes it up a bit so that we can reshape, restructure, and we are doing that every 15 to 20 minutes. So it's why it's important to move in some way every 15 to 20 minutes. If you are a desk jockey, you're sitting at a desk, you're driving a long time on the road, you're in the cockpit flying a plane, all these different things where you don't get to move a whole lot. If you are laying on the couch for several hours a day, you have to make sure that you're moving your body somehow in order to get things flowing or it quits working, okay? And that's where the disease gets worse. I'm not going to go into a tangent about that, but 3 10-minute programs is what I'm going to do today. This vibration board, the Vibra Voice, is set up at, we've got 4 preset programs. One of them is 3 minutes, one of them is 5 minutes, 2 of them are 10 minutes. One is a lymphatic program, one is a weight loss program, the 2 10-minute programs. I am going to plan on putting us through 3 of those 10-minute programs. It does have a manual mode function where you can set this for 20 minutes and use up to 30 of speed intervals in order to get the workout. But I don't like to think about changing levels. I just like to get on and go for a ride. So we're going to do lymphatic first. We're going to do weight loss second. And then I'm going to go manual mode third so that I can control the meditational core activation side of this. If you choose to want to have equipment, some of this is going to be done hands and knees. If you've had total knee replacements, total hip replacements, or can't get down onto your hands and knees, don't worry about it. Just keep on going, or you can put this up on tabletop and you can do it with a table. But I'm going to do it on the floor behind me. And if I'm in a kneeling position, we are also going to be standing position. If you don't feel comfortable standing, make sure that you have a chair or a stool that you can lower yourself to. Just make sure if you are in a seated position with your feet on top of the vibration plate, that your knees are lower than your hips. So in other words, you don't want your butt to be sitting lower than your knees, or you're going to have back or hip problems. Okay. So those are the main things I wanted to make sure. Make sure you've got water. I've got my water back there. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks. If you don't like having your hands in direct contact with the vibration plate, I'm going to show you how to dissipate that energy so that it's not overwhelming for you. And if you have the Vibra Voice, voice controlled vibration that goes vertical, I'm going to show you how to position your body, because it's very different. I'm going to show you how to position your body strategically so that you're not absorbing majority of the energy up here between your ears and in your head, because it does not feel good. And there's different ways that we can change how that energy is entering in. I will say this right up front, and you don't want to argue with Debbie and I on this, because we understand the science and the clinical backing on this. This vibration plate, or any of the others that we have, are residential grade models. They are not commercial. They are not medical. They are not clinically studied in the studies that you're reading about. It will not cause a detached retina. It will not cause a blood clot. It will not cause a head injury. It will not cause any kind of interruption in how your brain is functioning. It just breaks down and frees up our fascia, which governs everything. So we want our fascia to be able to absorb that energy, because if you are mush, I'll show you what mush looks like in somebody who has fascial adhesions. If you have mush, okay, you're going to have plantar fasciitis. You're going to have restless leg syndrome. You're going to have cramps in your legs. You're going to have pain when you walk. If you are mush, we can turn this into this really quick on this without you having to do any exercise. No resistance training involved. No jumping, no pounding, just mush to happy mesh, right? Mush to springy. The more you sit, the more you're mush. The more you move, the more springy you are. And springy is really good for us. So we are going to go from mush to spring. And anytime you've had an injury, you get little kinks in the fibers, we can kind of remove those kinks and get things more free and flowing so that you're not feeling all gunked up and stiff, okay? The other thing that I want to share with you, if you have scars, if you've had an injury, surgery, this is where everything's really happy and healthy. This is when things get hurt, or when we have surgery. This is what it comes back to if you don't take care of yourself. Vibration takes this and goes back to this. If you don't do vibration, this does not change. So this vibration and cupping makes a big difference with this tissue right here. And so we're going to give you that experience without the cupping. We're going to give you the taking the pile of mush, the patchy mush, and restructuring it back to happy, healthy tissue that makes you feel younger. So if you have scars, if you've had, ladies, if you've had a C-section or hysterectomy, you have these little kinks in your digestive tract, in your organs, because that same tissue holds our organs together. And this vibration, the way I'm going to teach you today, it will calm all this down and break those adhesions free without you feeling pain, so that you can use the bathroom and you can move and you don't feel like you got like everything stuck and gunked, and you can breathe better and you can circulate better, and like some of the cellulite goes away. Like there's all these wonderful benefits when we can eliminate stuff that we don't even realize we have through vibration. So that's what today is all about. So I'm glad that you're all here today. Being recorded live on Facebook and YouTube. So after you listen to this, if you're not able to participate actively right now, it'll be saved, uploaded to YouTube for permanent access to it. So make sure that you fast forward to the 20-minute marker, and that's where the program will begin. So grab your water and let's get rolling. So I'm going to start knowing that many of you might have been sitting a lot today. We're going to start standing and just getting things flowing. So if you have any trouble during any of this while trying to stand, then slow your intensity down, or take one foot off and leave one foot on, or get yourself a chair behind and go from a seated to a standing, and whatever you need to do to feel comfortable. And I'm not going to play music in the background. We're just going through some motions here so that we feel safe. I'm not going to do the voice activated commands on this because it can get a little tricky in the moment as I'm teaching you guys what to do. So I don't want to dabble with trying to fix the Vibra Voice today. We'll do another session specific to the Vibra Voice, but today is just less is better. 10-minute programs, doing less, feeling awesome without adding inflammation to the body, and just being your best self. That's what this is all about today. So, turning on, maybe, gotta flip the switch on all of it. There we go. Flipping the switch again, and we're on. Okay, so if you have the Vibra Voice, I'm going to do the lymphatic program first. And so the lymphatic program is our P3 program on the Vibra Voice. Let's see here. And I'm using my remote to do this, otherwise I could talk to it and it would do the same thing for me if I really wanted to. And we're on. So we're just standing on here. Let me adjust my camera so that you guys can see everything. And again, today is not so much about going hard, because if you want to go hard workout, I'll save that one for next week. We'll get some hard workouts in next week because I haven't done hard workouts in a while. But this is up and down vibration. So right now, standing here, and it's in control mode. So I don't have to control anything. I push start on P3. It's taking me through several different speeds every 1 minute. So it's 10 minutes total, and it's changing speed, going on a little bit of a roller coaster for 10 minutes. So just standing here is enough to experience a change in our lymph system. What I want you to think about doing is picking your toes up. So staying grounded with the bottom of your feet. So your feet, your whole sole of your foot can feel the vibration. Just pick up your toes, okay? And this specific vibration plate is much smaller than the Rumble X that I love, but I wanted to give the baby a try. This little one is smaller than the Waver Mini. This one I'm on right now only measures 19 inches across and only 12 inches wide. So if you wear a shoe size 12, your toes and your heels might be off of the vibration plate, and that's okay, because we're not going side to side. We're like little bounces up and down. And it does not matter how you position your feet across. It's going to be exactly the same energy, whether it's in the center or whether it's out wide. So just make sure that you are comfortable with wherever you're at. If you're not comfortable with having both feet on the same time because you're intimidated by it or you're afraid you're going to fall, just take one foot off and put one foot on right in the middle. We don't want to put it off to the side because it's too much loading and you're like going to teeter-totter on your own. So just put it in the middle because you're going to get the same energy in the middle as if you were on the outside. Another way that you can do this if you want to feel difference in your hips is keep one foot on and then you can step over to the side and we can just get into a little bit of a squat position here. But what I want you to focus on for right now is, can you open your toes and can you lift your toes? So we're opening the toes and lifting the toes, but my foot actually stays in the same surface area contact. Okay, so I want you to be thinking about, can I feel the whole arch of my foot? Do I feel more of my big toe? Do I feel more of my heel? Do I feel more of the outside edge of my foot? We want to feel as much as the bottom of the foot on the vibration plate as possible, because for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And all of the energy that is going into my body right now to create this earthquake perfect storm, I like to call it, is entering through my foot. So if only my outside edge of my foot is in contact with, then only the outside of my legs are going to get this energy. I'm not going to get the same energy up and down as if my entire foot is in contact with. So make sure you're paying attention to that. If you're not completely barefoot, it makes a big difference. So if you don't feel safe going completely barefoot, completely understand. Feel free to wear shoes and socks. If you're going to wear socks, make sure that you've got grippy socks on, because it's really easy to shift on these when you've got just regular socks on. We don't want you to slip. But I really like to recommend barefoot, because 80% of the nerve cells that provide your brain with feedback about where you're at in space, where your center of gravity is, blood flow, and just how we react to everything, 80% of those nerve cells are on the skin on the bottom of your feet and on the skin on the palms of your hands. So that's why we're going to do some very specific exercises with the palms of our hands for upper and with the soles of our feet for lower, okay? Now, all I want you to do, make sure we're keeping our knees slightly unlocked. We don't want to lock the knees out, because then our pelvis goes into a funky position, and then we feel this really hard in our low back, which actually causes more pain. So I want you to keep your knees just a little soft. You don't want to get into a squat. Just lock those knees out and then relax your legs, and it should unlock your knees. What I want you to do is ever so slightly turn your toes outward and bring your heels inward. We're just standing and absorbing this energy, because again, the program I'm using right now is the lymphatic program. So it's going from a speed of 1 to 8. Then the next one is 8 to 1. And then it goes from 1 to 13. And then it goes from 13 to 8. And then it goes from 8 to 18. And then it works its way back down. So we're only using moderate level of intensity. So we go from 1 with a max level of 18 for this unit, which has 30 levels. You can use, we don't have a lymphatic program on any other vibration plate that we offer right now. So if you're at home using the Rumble X, or if you're at home using the Turbo or the Waver, you can pick whatever program you want. If you've got 8 preset programs on your Waver, your Turbo, your Hobart, then you can choose one of those programs somewhere in the middle, like P5 or P6, and you're going to get a nice range of levels without being too much. Now, right now, this feels very different compared to what I'm used to, and it can be a little much at times. So I'm going to turn my feet inward and change the energy that I'm absorbing. So just going from toes out and heels in to toes in and heels out changes how much energy is entering through my body up into my shoulders and my chest for this specific plate. If you have the Rumble X or one of the other vibration boards that has more oscillating feature, you're going to get a different sensation, but it's still really important to change the positioning of your feet, because that changes the positioning of your hips, changes the positioning of your shoulders, changes the position of your low back spine and of your neck spine. So lumbar and cervical spine change. We have 3 hamstring muscles on the back of the leg that attach into our pelvis. So if you sit all day doing your work, those muscles are not being stimulated, which means they get mushy and lazy. They're not short, they're not tight, they're just mushy and lazy. So we have to turn those guys back on. If you're sitting a lot, these muscles here on the front side, on your thigh, are typically really short and really tight, which will cause low back pain. So just standing up and changing the positioning of your feet from in to out and from out to in will change how your pelvic girdle, how your hips are positioned, and will change the position of your neck and shoulders, and will change the pain that you might be sharing throughout your day, and will help to relax a lot of that. Again, our body reshapes itself every 15 to 20 minutes, so we have to keep it free-flowing somehow. You don't have to go from seated to standing. You just have to change the alignment of your hips or of your shoulders. And now we're going a little faster. So now I'm up to 18, which is the peak speed of the lymphatic program. And again, what I'm feeling happening is my body is spasming in a good way, and but I'm not feeling the shaky side to side. I am feeling, it feels more like pulsation, but really heavy pulsation. And I can feel that all the way up here to my ears and into my neck. You can hear my voice changing a little bit because our tongue is connected to our pelvic floor. Crazy. Our tongue is connected to our crotch. Kind of crazy to think about that, right? But I will show you a picture. I have proof of this. I learned this a few weeks ago and saw the actual picture of a human cadaver being demonstrated so that med school students can learn and so that we as professionals in the healthcare system can learn what's really going on beneath the surface, because what we think and what is actually happening are two totally different things. So it's always good to be ahead of that. And with Lifepro, being a representative of Lifepro, I'm always way ahead of the curve because I specialize in pain relief. That's just my niche, is instant pain relief. Okay, so going back to squaring up, okay, I'm going to turn this vibration plate sideways so you can see what my hips and my body are doing. And you can kind of replicate that if you choose to. I'm suffering a little bit of a sinus infection today, so my voice is a little off. But I want you to, okay, so knees are locked out here. So you can see straight line. That's not what we want. We want the knees to be a little soft. So lock those knees out and then relax your thighs. And that will allow the knees to lock. And from here, again, just making sure that we're on here comfortably. We have the ability to lift our piggly wigglies, our toes. All I want you to do is just take your hands and just kind of put them down on your knees and just enjoy the ride, because you don't have to exercise. The machine is doing it for you. This is specifically if we're wanting to get lymphatic fluid moving, and if we sit all day, that fluid gets stuck down here, and they're calling the gastroc muscle. Your calf muscle is your second heart. The actual heart muscle is the only mechanically operating pump in the human body, and it's electrically associated with your pelvic floor and with your brain. So if the heart is pumping all the blood, and our lymphatic system is our garbage disposal system with all these lymph nodes all over our body, if we have lymph and gunk and junk in the trunk, rhyme time for you, all the way down to our lower legs, there is nothing to pump that back up except for muscle activation and the calf muscle. And if your calf muscle is all wadded up yarn, your second heart is not pumping, which means you feel like crap. Which means if you were to pull your socks up, you can probably see the lines on your socks, or you can see lines in your pants because of what we call peripheral edema. You get lymphedema in the lower limbs, and it takes getting your legs up in the air for that to drain back up towards the body so you can actually manage it, eliminate it. So that was the first 10-minute program. If you have any questions, please type it in the comment section, because I can see the comments coming and going, and I will be happy to answer those questions, comments as they're coming in the feed, so that you can get the answers that you want today. But the next program I'm going to choose is the weight loss program on the Vibra Voice. If you can choose whatever program you want, 10 minutes, but the weight loss program, it is a pyramid going up, and then it goes up and down like a roller coaster, and then it pyramids back down. So 10 minutes, it is double the intensity of the lymphatic program. So if you do have a vibration plate that you're working on manual mode, and if it's got 60 levels of speed, then you can max out your speed on this one at the middle of the workout and go through a little roller coaster ride with me from like 60 to 40, and then we'll bring it back down. If you have a vibration plate that has 6 or 8 preset programs, choose the higher of those preset programs if you want to get the most out of how all this is happening. I'm going to put you through. I'm seeing somebody here. I felt some post-nasal drip, which was great because I know it's working. Yay! I'm so excited to hear that because, again, I got a sinus infection. I just started on the antibiotics today. And so I can feel all this like stuff draining down, kind of crazy. Hey, meaning that I showed you or mentioned to you earlier that your tongue is attached to your crotch. I'm going to show you this because this is really mind-blowing. And I had this in a textbook, never really took the time to check it out. So I'm going to share this with you because you can't argue with the facts. You can't argue with the science, and you can't argue with what we already know is inside of us. But for the longest time, doctors would break apart the body and segment it, and it can't be separated. And so I want to share with you, I've actually been suffering an autoimmune condition that attacks my mouth. And so it's hard for me to stick my tongue out. You really can't stick my tongue out. So I did some exercises a few weeks ago with these scientists that helped to open up my rib cage and open up my chest wall and open up my hips. And I was playing with my tongue at the same time, and I could actually stick my tongue out much further because I actually released the tissue from beneath the neck. it wasn't a tongue problem. The tongue was being pulled on from everything else in my torso, from stress and from just life, right? And I've had Bell's palsy. So if you've had Bell's palsy, that's all connected too, to your core and to your crotch and your pelvic floor. So this is good stuff. Love this stuff. Okay, so let me pull this photo up because it is really mind-blowing. When you see this picture, it is just a really neat representation of what our body actually looks like beneath the surface. I think I took about 400 pictures while I was working last, when I was out of town. So it's a lot of information to come through, but we are going to find it. And in the meantime, again, if you have some pictures or if you have some questions that you'd like to ask me while we're taking a quickie turnover break, then feel free to do so. Because remember, it's not how hard you go, how long you go. It's the ride. It's the whole journey. So we don't want to go hard with the heart rate as long as we can, because it does not work in our favor at all. If you are a semi-professional athlete or an elite athlete and you're training for something, we train for those very different than if we are actually exercising. So just want to make sure you understand that. There you go, my friends. This is from Anatomy Trains. That is your tongue, your heart, your diaphragm, and your psoas muscle, which is the number one hip flexor in the human body. So if you're sitting all day, that hip flexor muscle is really short. So again, tongue is at the very top, hip flexor is at the bottom. Let me show you what the hip flexor really looks like and what it is the number one cause of low back pain. This is all tied together. I've been studying this stuff for several years, and I love learning this stuff because there's just so much information that we don't have access to that we now have access to. But our hip flexor, number one hip flexor, is right here, and it attaches right here at L1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it crosses over into our hip joint on the inside of our thigh. And so when we sit all day, that is that big muscle that I just showed you in the picture with the tongue attached. So as we sit all day, that muscle is at its shortest. The blue muscle and the red muscle are exactly the same. When we're up and moving, the red muscle is longer, blue muscle is short, hamstring, long, weak and mushy, hip flexor, short. So you can't be short and short, or you wouldn't have muscles. So when we sit long hours a day, this is really important for those of you that sit. When you sit long hours a day, that triangle right here in the middle, that is your psoas muscle. That is that hip flexor that is actually attached to your tongue. So when we sit all day and our spine starts to curve, oxygen to our body goes down by 40%. 40%, we lose oxygen from the brain through the nervous system by 40% when we sit in this posture throughout the whole day. So let's get up and get moving. Here we go. All right, so we're going to go to a kneeling position. And I'm going to bring you all a little bit closer so we can have a much more fun experience together. Here we go. I like being close to all of you. That way you can see what's happening. Okay, if you are somebody who does not like to have your knees in contact with the floor, put a mat down. I've also got the Horizon Balance Trainer. These things are so awesome. I love this. This is one of Lifepro's products. If you're really sensitive and you don't want to be directly on the floor, get yourself on the horizon, and that way you're same height, okay? So you can put your knees in the center, you can put a yoga mat down on the floor, whatever you want in order to cushy, but you can position yourself however you need to. If you do not like having your palms in direct contact with your vibration plate, these little pads you can get on Amazon, they're for doing push-ups and for yoga. You can put those on here and put your palms in the middle, and it doesn't absorb the same amount of vibration as if you were directly in contact with. So if you need to do less is better, these little pads, you can buy these little push-up pads, yoga pads on Amazon. And if you want to go super cheap at your local dollar store, this is a pool noodle. A fun little pool noodle for $1. Cut it in half and use it on top. You can do that, or you don't cut it in half. The energy will still travel through, but you got to worry about it rolling back and forth, which is not a bad idea. We'll play around with that. Worst case scenario, if you have a platform that came with another mat, you can lay a yoga mat across the top. So I want to give you some options as to what you can do. If you have another vibration board, another vibration plate. This one does not come with the mini loop bands, but if you have one of our other ones, or if you want to get on Amazon and order yourself a set of these, please feel free to do so. But I'm gonna do the P5 program, which is 10 minutes. And it is going to go from one extreme to the other. And the reason why I'm doing this is because there's part of this workout that I am not going to like because it is too much. And if you happen to be one of those people at home who is using one of our other vibration plates that it is too much and you do not like, then I'm going to show you how to moderate it or how to change your positioning so that you don't have to turn it off and start over, because there's so many different ways to do this that you can enjoy the ride a little bit, okay? I'm going to bring you a little bit closer so I'm not looking up as high. There we go. We get to hang out together down here on the floor. There we are. Okay, so again, if you have questions, if you have comments, and you want to share what's going through your mind, definitely feel free to post in the comment section because I'm seeing them all coming up live. And I love seeing you all here. It's so fun to talk to all of you. Okay. So we're turning on. We're going to go P5 if you're in the Vibra Voice. Start. Okay. So this is a lot of jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. Okay. Now I can feel this a lot in my chest, a lot in my neck and shoulders, and a lot in my jaws. I feel like if you've ever watched, it's the movie with Tom Hanks with the dog, the big dog that drools and slobbers everywhere. Like the jabber does, right? That's what I feel like when I'm here, and the intensity is so much that you can feel your jaws going, right? It's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. It's just, we can laugh about it together. But if you find that this is too much, again, dissipate some of the energy, and you can use dish towels. I have used kitchen towels to do the same thing because I didn't have anything else. If you have shoulder pain, this will help. If you have a frozen shoulder, you've got to get your shoulders moving, or you're going to end up in surgery and they're going to have to break your shoulder in order to dismantle the adhesions that the body does to protect us, but it's overprotective process that we really don't need. So you're going to hear my voice going, right? That's quite all right. It's actually really good for your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is increased in its tone or stimulated when we hum, when we chant, when we sing, when we gargle, when we laugh. And so if we add vibration to that, it just enhances the overall effect and accelerates the improvement of the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the most powerful nerve in the body in that it controls whether you are in go, 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 fight or flight, or whether you are in recovery, restoration, repair. You can't be in both at the same time. And it is the one nerve that controls all of that. And it branches off of both ears from the inside, and it travels the whole length of the human body into the groin. So it controls every single system we have. And it loves to be pampered. So pamper it by allowing the vibration to, right? And we can play. I don't hear what you're doing. You can hear me. I'm totally cool with that. I suck at singing, but I still like to pretend like I'm singing like I'm a pop star. That will never happen, but I still like to pretend because we all got a dream, right? Okay, so if you want to take your hands to the edges, if you have the vertical vibration with the Vibra Voice, you take your hands to the edges or you take your hands to the center, it is really exactly the same. Whereas in our other vibration boards that have the oscillation, when you go to the outer edges, it is way more intense than if we just keep our hands here in the center. So I just want to make sure to clarify that. If you happen to have a Vibra Voice or one of the vertical vibration plates, it's going to be a different sensation than those of you who have our other models, whether it's oscillation, pulsation, or lateral motion, okay? If you have a Rumble X, you get all three, but you don't get the vertical. But it doesn't matter where you position your hands, just make sure that you're comfortable. Pool noodle. If you have carpal tunnel, okay, you have carpal tunnel syndrome. Now I can feel this vibration all the way into my low back, into my hips, and I'm not anywhere near on the plate with any of that. It's all traveling through my body. That's how powerful the system is. But what I want you to do is I want you to use your hand, and I want you to roll the noodle back and forth, because it's massaging your palms at the same time, as you're absorbing this vibrational energy, which is really good for you. So if we are rolling the pool noodle, you actually have to use all those little bitty muscles in their hands that get really tight and get really angry, get really swollen, which is what causes the carpal tunnel. So just rock and roll that noodle back and forth. Okay, now let's just enjoy the ride. So just wrap your hands around the noodle, and then just place your hands on top of the noodle. And if you want to sit back on your heels and enjoy this, you can do that. If you want to be up a little bit higher, you can do that. Whatever is most comfortable for you. If you can't get into this position because you don't have the motion in your palms, then turn your hands around and wrap it around, like hold the noodle underneath, and then just lean your upper body over it a little bit, okay? So my hands, here's the thing. My hands don't even have to be on the vibration board. Isn't that cool? I'm still getting the energy. I'm still feeling the vibration, but my hands aren't even in contact with it. The energy is transferring through the noodle, which happens to be enclosed in my palms, where those super powerful nerve cells are located. So they're getting excited either way. So there's the pool noodle. If you take half the pool noodle and you cut it in half, now we have a semicircle pool noodle, okay? Same thing. Sitting back on my heels, or you could sit side saddle if you really want to. We can sit with our legs out in front of us. You're still going to get the energy into your lower arms. You're just not going to feel it through the rest of your body. So you get into a position, whatever position is comfortable. If you have the palm pads, you can put those under your knees too, if you're not using them on your palms. So it's pretty handy. Okay, speed on mine just went up. So I am now up to a speed of 11, I think. No, that's not right. 25, my bad. I'm up to a speed of 25 out of 30. Okay, and yes, I can feel it. So all I want you to do is squeeze those shoulder blades together, separate those shoulder blades. Squeeze them together, and if you feel the jabber jaws, blah, right? If you feel the right, it's okay. Like we have connections in our jaw. We carry a lot of anger, a lot of fear, a lot of tension in our jawline. So a lot of people start to have issues with their teeth, issues with their face, biting down when they sleep at night, grinding their teeth. This is going to help that. We can actually change everything in our face, in our jawline, TMJ, and in our throat by just doing this right here. Okay, you just have to be willing to experience the ride, knowing that you're like not going to get hurt on the ride. Nothing about this is going to hurt you. You can turn our palms around if you feel the freedom to do so. If you cannot get your hands turned around like such because of shoulder pain, or you don't have the motion in your palms, we're actually meant to be able to do this. Our body was created to do this. You need to start working into that, or you're going to break down as the years roll forward. And yes, we are using a vibration plate, which presents as an occupational hazard for people who use power tools or are using, big machines and like pounding back and forth. Yes, you can develop occupational hazards through vibrating tools. We're only talking about 3 10-minute programs throughout the day, or all in one, however you choose to do it. It is not enough to cause the problem. It is enough to create the earthquake, to break apart the problem. So don't give up on yourself. Okay, and again, I can go over the edge. I can wrap my fingers around. So right now, my hands are not even touching the vibration plate. I'm just touching the pool noodle, and I'm still getting all this up into my head. So if you don't like the intensity of this, or of the one you're currently using, get yourself a pool noodle from the local convenience store and cut it into size. It doesn't matter the diameter. I've got really fat ones and I got little skinny ones. A pool noodle is just foam, and the energy, the vibration will transfer through the foam, which is what makes you feel really, really good. For those of you that don't want to absorb all of it. Now, I'm going to turn myself sideways here because I want you to be able to see my shoulders. What I'm going to do, a lot of people who sit at a computer all day who are rounded forward, like head is forward and you're like looking like this instead of nice and up. I'm going to show you what to do with your shoulders. So I want you to squeeze your shoulders really tight as if you're trying to pinch a pencil in between. And then I want you to separate them and round them out as high as you possibly can. Okay? I don't care where your hands are on your vibration plate. You just get comfortable wherever you feel safe. Okay? But squeeze those shoulders together, separate them apart. And squeeze the shoulders together and separate them apart. Okay? You can do whatever you need to do, but squeeze And when you squeeze those shoulders together, you're probably going to get a little saddle back in your low back, and that's okay. It means your pelvis is shifting, okay? I like to say get Amber off your back or get the bear off your back. Like most people will just separate. I want you to like really round out the upper back, because that's where a lot of people are developing changes in the spine that we call kyphosis. The spine curves up and out because we're rounded like this all the time. So get the bear off your back and squeeze the shoulders together. Get the bear off your back, squeeze the shoulders together. Now, hands are here. We're going to go hands sideways. Again, use the pull noodle if you need to. We're going to go sideways. Squeeze the shoulders together like you're pinching a pencil in between your shoulder blades. And then separate them as far as you can and think about getting Amber off your back or pushing your shoulders through the roof. Okay? Squeeze the pencil and separate, pushing through the roof. Get the bear off your back. Good, good, good. Yep, jabber jaws. My jaws are flopping like crazy. You can even make some funny facial expressions like stick out your tongue, or we can make big smiles, or we can chew, pretend like we're chewing through our jaw, different positions. Good stuff. Now, going from here to here, now we're going to go underneath, or we're going to get as close to that as we can. So we're just going to turn our hands like a fan. So if we're starting here, you're going to turn as best as you can until you can turn your hands around, and ideally you want to get your hands all the way underneath of you. I know you're thinking I'm crazy right now because a lot of you cannot do this. It took me 2 weeks to do this exercise every day when I first learned it, to be able to get as much of my palm in contact with and having to move my body. If you cannot get into this position, but you can get into a modified angled position, get your body in front of your hands, your head in front of your plate, and then sit back nice and easy, and that stretches all these muscles out. Awesome. Okay, program number 2 done. Now we're down to the final 10 minutes. And this is just more about meditation. This vibration plate has a locking mechanism on it, which means I can turn on the locking mechanism and I can sit on it and it will not shut itself off by accident. So what I want you to do is join me for some deep relaxation breathing. And we're going to do a 10-minute program again on this one. And I'm going to take you back up to where we were, to there, so you can see everything. Make sure you got some water handy. And so I'm going to go, I'm going to do the P5 program, which is the weight loss program, because I like the higher speeds. If you want more meditational, actually scratch that. I'm going to go lymphatic, because lymphatic is like a nice gentle ride. So I'm going to go the lymphatic program, and I just dismantled my remote off my slap bracelet today. That's always fun. So here we go. And you gotta be able to see what you're choosing. And this is the P3 program on mine. The lymphatic is P3. We're gonna push start, and then we're gonna hit the lock so that it locks the Vibra Voice. There we go. It is just on its own. So right now, it is just moving at its own controlled, programmed pace. And yes, you're going to hear me, right? But here's what's cool. I've got a sinus infection going on. If you've got somebody in your family who has got something going on with their chest, they got congestion in their chest, they got congestion in their sinuses, they've got, stiff neck, this is going to shake things up a bit. And what do we do with people who are sick in a hospital? We put them on a bed that rotates them, or we pat, like little pats on the lungs, on the back, which shakes the gunk out and allows us to feel more free and allows our body to heal. This is doing the same thing, up and down, not teeter-totter, up and down. So no matter how you sit, it's still going to go up and down. So find something that feels good to you. If you really need to get pelvic floor crotch activated, digestion, you're having chronic constipation, then if you're in contact and you're sitting nice and tall, then the energy is going to go up through your butt bones, through your back. If you lengthen out those legs and sit on top with your legs straightened out, you can even slump if you want to. Don't suggest it, but you can if it makes you feel better. Now my pelvic floor is more centered over the vibration plate, so I can feel this going all the way up into my throat, but I can also feel it through my groin and through my pelvis. That is going to stimulate your intestines to mobilize through the fluid all the stuff that's been stuck there. We are literally full of crap most of the time. Because as we don't move, our body does not digest the same way. So it just becomes trapped, toxic, mutated. And if you want to do a tryout for voice, right, then you can get the voice box going, you can get the tongue going, you can get the jaw going by sitting on here. And because it's up and down, yes, things are moving. It's a good thing. So do some tongue tricks, play with your face. If you want to pull out your cheeks and smile, you can actually feel the pulling inside your mouth because we're stimulating through the pelvic floor, which is connected to our mouth. This tissue actually ends in the roof of your mouth. So it can change how you are swallowing, how you're sipping, how you're talking, how you're, all that good stuff. And it all starts right here where the crotch is a pelvic ring, where all the energy enters, typically from our legs, but because I'm sitting on this, is that we're absorbing it up the channel and it's ending in the roof of my mouth, which is a good thing for me because I actually need this. So pull those cheeks apart, and smile. And you can smile side to side because it doesn't change anything. Good. Now you can get into some facial exercises where you're like almost like chewing, imagining you're chewing something, but you're really not. Or just open as wide as you can. Like you're the dentist, you have to hold your mouth open. It's the worst. I would so much rather than put the spacer in so I don't have to do the effort of holding my mouth open. But just open up wide. And you'll actually feel that in your ears. You feel that in your ears. Might feel it in your neck, might feel it in your chest area. Let's open up those arms to the sky. And here's a fun one. Tilt your head back and then stick out your tongue. You'll feel it all the way across your tummy. So crazy fun stuff. I can't wait to hear how all of you feel this, because you will feel totally different after than you did before. And if you have pain on the bottom of your tush, literally have a pain in your butt, you can sit on the pull noodle too. The pull noodle will position right across what we call the sits bones, which are the points in which your hamstrings attach on the bottom of your pelvis. If it's too sore for you to sit directly on the plate, you can actually sit on the noodle and it will dissipate that extra discomfort from sciatica or hip pain. Like I said, we're having fun here. So I hope you're humming on the other side, because humming is really good for your vagus nerve, which branches off of your inner ears. So as you're pulling your earlobes, you can feel all this happening. If you're feeling a little nauseous in your tummy, that is a good thing. It is a good thing because your organs and your stomach are made up of a different type of muscle from all your other muscles. And that's this fascia and the connective tissue can form some adhesions in there. And it's stimulating those muscles to start responding. So you can actually stimulate up to 90% of your muscles to start actively firing when they're not wanting to work. So if you're feeling your tummy a little nauseous, now this is a little much for me. So I'm going to sit forward, or I'm going to get my butt off of it. I'm going to sit down and just let my arms do the absorption. Or we can, again, put the pull noodle on, and that is way easier. So if that's too much on you, put the pull noodle underneath your booty and bring your legs in closer to you and sit up nice and tall. And it is not nearly as intense as if you're directly sitting on the vibration plate itself. So this is too much for you, and you're trying to relieve sciatica, or it's too much for you up and down, up into your neck and jaw, then have a seat on a noodle or on a mat. It will definitely help with the intensity if you don't want to start the program over. We are almost there. Almost there. So that slowed down, so I'm going to take my pull noodle back out. Now, let's bring those feet together. If you can get into this position, go ahead and get into this position. And I want you to sit nice and tall with your chest high. Be proud of your chest. Take those arms and open. Lift your head up to the sky, and just breathe in and blow out as long as you possibly can. So if you can breathe in for 4 or 5 and blow out for 4 or 5, even up to 10, you're going to feel a lot different. So breathe in Blow out. Good. If you don't feel comfortable there, put your hands on your knees. Keep your chest nice and tall. Breathe in. Blow out. And if you're not familiar with that, try and breathe out as long as you possibly can, because that's how our body heals. We typically breathe too much. Okay, that's too much intensity. So I'm going back with my tushy underneath. Deep breath in. Blow out. And just hold and relax. Good. Breathe in. Blow out. And just breathe in and blow out as best as you can at the pace that you want to. Feels so good. Like I can feel my cheeks flopping. It's so fun. Because guess what? If you have wrinkles on your forehead, if you have wrinkles around your eye sockets, if you have wrinkles along your jawline, if you have wrinkles along your neck, guess what that is? It is not aging. It is muscles that are so tight, it's creating a crease, separating the collagen from the fat from the skin. It is truly not aging wrinkles as you think. It is tension. It is stuff that's too short, too tight, too much tension. And when there's too much tension, it forms a tuck or it forms a crease, which is what wrinkles are, basically. So just doing this right here and breathing and just relaxing will actually de-wrinkle you. It's really fun. Awesome. Keep going. If you have any questions, comments, I see a few of them popping up here. I'm going to get up off of here and answer what question might be popping up. How many times can you use the Vibe plate a day in different body parts? You can use it several times a day. I have done video shoots for Lifepro in which I have done 10 hours straight through in a day, several days in a row, and did not harm me. You do not want to get on the vibration plate and do resistance training, do a workout for more than 15 minutes several times a day. Like when I say several times, like you don't want to be doing 2 hours of workouts on the vibration plate because you're actually stirring up the system too much, and too much can be not as beneficial. But can you do a couple of 10-minute programs in a row like we have today? Absolutely. If you want to do like a zone where you're working on the knees, like really generating through the thighs, get those knee pads or get yourself a pad and just kneel on here. This actually helps with low back pain a lot, just by having your knees on here and just trying to balance. But we're not doing resistance training. So we're not adding stress to the body. We're not getting the heart rate over 75% max heart rate. I can still talk and breathe to you at the same time without having to catch my breath. So you can do that multiple times a day. In fact, I do that with a lot of my clients who are in pain so that we can rearrange and reshape the body. But what I want to make sure that I share with you, you cannot spot shape the body. The way that the fascia holds us together, the way that our body is molded as one functioning unit, we're like a vehicle with lots of interacting systems. You can't fix the brakes without changing how it affects the tires. You can't take the tires off and put new tires on with crummy brakes. You can't put certain features on a car that's not meant to have those features and everything coordinating and connecting together like it's meant to. So don't try and I'm going to fix my shoulder and try and really force my shoulder to get the amount of energy that I'm trying to get. You don't want to spot shape or spot check or spot treat our body using multiple sessions. We want to treat it as a whole. And so you can get into different rotational positions. You can get into kneeling positions, into laying positions, get your legs up on it. But if you're trying to do it to really sharpen up those calves, if you're trying to round out your butt and don't really care what everything else looks like, that is a lot harder to do. And so I encourage you, if you're doing multiple times a day for toning, just make sure that you're keeping your resistance to a level that's challenging, but you're giving yourself some time in between to rest, because you don't want to be on it all the time, creating too much resistance, too much of a challenge. Otherwise, the body goes into panic mode, and then you actually have backwards results. You actually get the outcome that you don't want, the outcome that you're trying to eliminate. So if you're doing it for pain relief, it works really, really well for pain relief. If you are sitting at a desk and you're trying to keep your legs in motion, I have a lot of clients that buy the Waver Mini. They sit at their desk, they keep their feet on top of the Waver Mini, remote control operated, and they might turn it on for 10, 15 minutes and do that every hour for an 8-hour day. That's a game changer. It's awesome. But you do have to make sure that you're moving in other positions, if that makes sense. So I hope that answers your question with how many times can you use the Vibe plate a day in different body parts. You can use it several times a day. It's going to tell you in the instruction manual not to exceed about 30 minutes because liability reasons and because of because of safety guidelines. We have to create a number in order to have it in the manual. But I'm telling you from personal experience, from working with my clients and have been with Lifepro since 2018, I've been on it multiple hours a day doing videos, and it can send you into a different direction because you're removing, as you are on the Vibe plate every day, multiple times a day, you're shaking up your lymphatic system. So you're releasing toxins in the system. And if you do that too much all at once, it can be too much toxicity. And that's where you have to be careful, because you can feel fine going to bed. And then you wake up the next day and you feel like you got hit by a truck, or you feel like you got the flu, or you're just really tired, or you're kind of stinky. Those are all signs that your body is trying to eliminate inflammation in the system. So you want to make sure that you are being kind to yourself. Let your body kind of catch up before you go full throttle in order to tone. But yeah, so get those jaws, those cheeks moving, big smiles, stick out the tongue, have some fun with that. That concludes our time for today. I will be back on again tomorrow for another series episode of Aging Younger as the years roll forward with Vibe plate workouts, or just things to consider, tips, tricks, strategies of how Amber is continuing to age younger as we get older using the Vibe plate and not doing hard workouts anymore. It's like the best thing ever. I have so much more free time than the 10 hours a week I was committing to training hard because I thought I had to in order to look good and feel great, and ended up in causing myself way more problems than I knew of. And nobody else could figure it out. Doctors couldn't figure it out. Nurse practitioners, I actually figured it out on my own over the years. And now the research proves that's how it is. So research is always coming out, my friends. The standards are always changing. Why? Because we are introduced to different challenges. We're introduced to different drugs, different foods, different beverages, different creams, different toxins, our environment, where we live, what we're breathing in, and all of that gets stuck in our system for sometimes decades, and so as those cells are mutating, as those things in our body are continuing to mutate us, our body changes how it functions and how it defends itself, but also how it fixes itself. And we can't control that in a study. So you're not gonna read about a lot of this stuff. It's all based off of some of it, yes, is clinical studies. Some of it is cadaver studies. A lot of it is just feedback from all of you. Truly word of mouth feedback as to how your life is changing. And we're learning from you just as much as you're learning from us. So don't hesitate to reach out to us and tell us how Lifepro is changing your life. I actually gave out my cell phone number. So if you want to send me a message that I can send on up the channel to Joel, who is the CEO of the company and created all of this, I can send that up to him. I won't give out his information, but I'll give out mine. So if you want to share your story with me, Debbie and Roseanne can be reached through Messenger, but feel free to send us messages. Let us know how we're changing your life or what you need from us so that we can help you in your journey of life-changing opportunities so that you can feel truly your best self. I'm 47 years old and I feel like I'm living in my 30s all over again, just really thriving. 317-446-7971 is my personal phone number. 317-446-7971. If you want to share your story with me, share it with me. I will send it to Joel. I will share it with our Lifepro team. And if you're not responding to something, let us know that too, because we're here again to learn from you and from you to learn from us. We're all experts and certified. Some of us are licensed. I'm a licensed medical provider, but I've been a strength coach as long as I've been in the medical world. And I specialize in a lot of the Eastern holistic methods, certified in over 20 different methodologies of Eastern medicine practice. So let us know how we can help you, because that's what we're here for. And if we're not changing your life, then you are kind of taking away the opportunity for us to serve in a bigger way in purpose by helping you through our own challenges. So thank you so much for being here today. And I'll look forward to seeing you all again on our next episode. Have a great day, and remember to celebrate the small things and win your day on your terms. Have a good one.